Good morning, Compass and Clock members. Today we have the pleasure of having Cheri McEssy, which I probably said it wrong again, with
Perfect.
UnaliWear here to give us a educational morning about the company and about the Kanega Watch. So Cheri, the screen is yours.
Thank you. And I'm going to talk rather quickly because I've come to learn that once people see this, there tends to be a lot of conversation. So I want to leave time for that. So the company is UnaliWear. The mission statement is to extend independence with dignity. So it is a wearable that is geared towards any vulnerable population. My name, again, Cheri McEssy. I have joined the company both as an investor, but with my clinical and healthcare background, I am also driving strategic growth and partnerships for the company. But the company was founded by Jean Booth. This is her fourth startup. She is an electrical engineer by background and has created companies that have been acquired by Texas Instruments and Apple. So she's well versed in building a company and helping it get to market and make some real positive impact changes for our constituents. So, oh, nice. Green isn't moving. There it goes. So Jean came out of retirement to start this company. That is actually her mother. Her mother was a model and actress. And as she started to age, she was just unwilling to wear any of those stigmatizing pendant, push buttons, big clunky jitterbugs, home base unit type alert systems. And she was still active and out and about, but she was starting to have some vulnerabilities. And so Jean came out of retirement and started UnaliWear. They are both, as you could probably tell from the picture, of Cherokee heritage. So the company has special meaning to the name. Unali means friend, and Kanega, which is the name of the watch, means speak in the Cherokee Native American language. So UnaliWear, with its Kanega Watch, is the friend that speaks and helps people stay independent with dignity. So you've probably picked up on the fact that it has a speech interface. Let me show you one of our quick videos. I'll show you a couple of these in the presentation.
The Kanega Watch from UnaliWear, lightweight, comfortable, and meant to be worn throughout the day and night. Controlled by speech, not touchscreens, making it easy to use.
Kanega, what day is it?
Monday, July 27th. The Kanega Watch itself is waterproof, and thanks to the patented battery system in the band, you never have to take your watch off to charge it, which keeps wearers safe 24/7. A simple daily battery swap keeps the watch charged and able to provide ongoing standby assistance. The Kanega Watch is providing independence with dignity and bringing peace of mind to families everywhere.
So you can see the way that this was designed for those of you that are working in memory care or anticipating independent living, or even those of you that work with people who are in their home and just need service. The idea around this wearable is it's a way for people to live the most independent life possible, but to also have that standby assistance to help them live that life, but still have the resources they need when they need it. So some key points here on the watch: you never have to remove it to charge it, so it is always with you, even in the bathroom middle of the night, when you're up and moving around, and typical pendants are over on the shelf charging if they're being worn at all. It has an intelligent fall detection device, so it starts to detect your falls, but learn how you fall, so that when you cancel a fall detection to say it wasn't a real fall, you were just on the floor doing yoga or playing with your dog, it starts to learn that. It provides medication reminders. It has a speech interface, and it backs up directly to a live medical alert emergency operator, not just a call center who asks what you want, but somebody who can see some information about you, can look at the GPS to know where you are, can utilize a phone call tree that you set up in advance so that you can choose if you want somebody called or if you need emergency service. Most other wearables, it's just you push a button and you get lights and sirens, which makes most people not push the button because they don't want that. So as you can see, from the side, the right side here, there's an aspect to the wearable of learning the lifestyle of the wearer, so that it better detects and assists 24/7. Here is one other example.
The Kanega Watch from UnaliWear. Thanks to the patented battery system in the band, you never have to take your watch off to charge it, keeping wearers safe 24/7. So when there's a need for emergency help, it's as simple as pushing a button or just speaking to the watch and asking for help. The medical alarm operators respond and speak with the wearer directly over the cell service contained within the watch. The Kanega Watch is promoting independence with dignity and bringing peace of mind to families everywhere. The Kanega
Oops, my apologies. So the big part on that screen was just to point out it does not need to be paired with a separate cell phone or a home-based unit. Everything you need is right in the watch. So you can go out, walk your dog, meet your friends for lunch, play poker with the guys, whatever it is, and you don't need to be close to a home-based unit or carrying a separate phone. The biggest question we get is, how is this different from an Apple Watch? In the name of time, I'm just going to point out the red text here to highlight, but we can talk further if you would like. It's the patented battery system that allows for it to never have to come off for charging. It's a high contrast white on black display, so no apps, no red and green navigating on a black background and touch screens and acting like it's a computer. It's a very simple watch, white on black display. No separate phone or iPhone is needed to function. It's waterproof. There's US-based, whoops, my apologies, US-based trained care specialists. That's out of the emergency center. It's easy to work right out of the box, but with a UnaliWear customer success team on the phone and ready to walk you through it if you want that extra help. And there's also a backup safety, battery for safety. High level, you can see the 3 different ways the watches come. There's a rose, a black, a gold face, and then we have different bands for people to choose from. Most people love this. It looks more like a smartwatch. It's actually lighter than an Apple Watch and smaller. You would be very surprised if you can see here, I'm wearing one. It's very light. It looks just like a regular watch, very non-stigmatizing. So what you will see on this in a graphic coming up in just a minute, what we have discovered is the people that purchase this watch, they wear it over 92% of the time. Most pendants and other medical alerts out there, even though they're purchased for mom and dad or whoever they might be given to, they're worn less than 50% of the time. And all of you in the industry probably know that already. And then one more time, just how it supports lifestyle.
Changing the way that independent but vulnerable people live their lives. The Kanega Watch has a cool smartwatch look that goes where you go without the need to be connected to a smartphone or a home base. When a fall is detected by the watch, it connects to a live medical operator through the cellular service built into the watch. The Kanega Watch is promoting independence with dignity and bringing peace of mind to families everywhere.
So this is the graphic that kind of shows you. And while we all tend to focus on seniors, keep in mind vulnerable populations include everything from people in their 30s and 40s with MS, ALS, epilepsy, brain injury, spinal cord injury. So there's a large set of vulnerable populations that this appeals to. And then the last
is changing the way that
video.
But vulnerable people live their lives. Don't worry about watching the clock. Your Kanega Watch will discreetly remind you when it's time to take your medication. You can keep your attention on the fun things in life. The Kanega Watch is promoting independence with dignity and bringing peace of mind to
So I'm cutting that off because it gets a little redundant, but the 4 vignettes kind of show the different aspects of the watch. So this is kind of a recap of how we compare to the rest of the industry. And the pricing, there's an annual plan and a monthly plan. Obviously, the annual plan is a much better value. They all come with a 30-day risk-free trial. And anyone that puts in the Compass and Clock code when they're purchasing it will get a month of free service. We are looking at insurance plans for 2022 to protect against lost or damaged devices. And then this screen I will just leave up. It has some testimonials and some of the feedback that we hear. This watch was very heavily beta tested and focus grouped and surveyed and all sorts of things. And as of right now, we have the lowest amount of return rates in the industry up against the other wearables. And we're growing quite fast because of the ease and non-stigmatizing way it works. So hopefully I did that fast enough so that if there are questions, we can talk about what resonates most with you.
Everybody should unmute so that you can ask questions.
I do.
Yeah, Lisa, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Really nice to meet you, Cheri. So my parents, I kind of shared with you a little bit in that our private chat, are 89 and 90, and I'm going back to see them a week from Saturday, and this is an ideal thing for both of them. To be quite frank, my mother just fell about a month and a half ago, and they have a small step between the kitchen and the family room, and she just misjudged. She had a pair of nylons on and slippery, and she fell, and no one was in the house. My dad and my sister had gone out for a ride, you know, to go to the grocery store. So she had to lay there for a good 35 minutes, which was really sad. So anyway, that being said, I think this is absolutely outstanding. And I'm definitely going to present it to both of them when I see them.
Well, great. Thank you for that. We hear that all the time. And when I mentioned I was an entrepreneur, my business was in the home care, care management, healthcare staffing space. And no matter where I go in healthcare, even when people pay out of pocket or it's paid by someone else, whether it's for in the home or to go into a facility or wherever, there are still gaps. Even if you had someone that was coming to be with your parents 3 times a week for 4 hours, there's 20 hours a day when someone's not there, and days of the week that they're not there. So this really provides what I tend to refer to as standby assistance. The other thing that happens is you go to meet a family and you say, absolutely, we can help to take care of your parents or mom. And then they say, well, what does that cost? And you tell them $30 an hour. They're like, $30 an hour? Mom doesn't really need anything. We just need someone here in case of. Well, this is something that can do that. And even if they can afford it, so you do that for 8 hours a day while you're at work, there's still 16 other hours in the day. So having that standby assistance really fills a gap that bridges or prolongs that quality of life or aging in place. And I don't even like to say age at home, because it needs to be age in the home of your choice. Because as someone mentioned earlier, staying at home alone, the biggest problem with aging is social isolation. So at home may not be the best place, but a residential home or a senior community. Those of you that mentioned your senior living communities, we're working with a lot of CCRCs and the continuum of care models, because this is perfect for the independent living. It's not perfect for memory care, right? Because this requires someone who's able to swap out their batteries and know how to, wear this and use this. But independent and assisted living, this is perfect.
Okay, I think you answered my question then. I was going to ask, because I'm in memory care right now, and I was going to ask how that works if they can't, or even if they were independent, fell and hit their head, knocked out, and can't speak to whoever comes onto that line, then what happens? Do they automatically send someone out, or what? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our hope is in a few years, our next generation will create a wearable that works for the dependent population, much like a memory care. This is very much for the independent but vulnerable populations. And so in the case that someone's having a stroke, or they have fallen, or they've had a heart attack and they just can't even verbalize, the watch either A, detects the fall, or B, the person has had the ability to push, it's called the crown button. You and I refer to it as kind of the wind up button on the watch. So there is still a button on the watch if you don't use speech interface. But even if the wearer doesn't do anything to ask for help, the watch will detect the fall and it escalates. So at first the watch is going to say fall detected. And that's where I briefly mentioned, if I wear one. So if I'm getting on the floor to do yoga, when I first started wearing it, it thought I was falling. Once I cancel it by pushing the button, it starts to learn that that movement isn't a fall, that's me doing yoga. So it learns your lifestyle. But if the watch detects that you have fallen and it is not canceled, you don't push the button to say, no, I'm okay. It escalates. Then it starts verbally saying, fall detected, call center being contacted. You're still able to cancel there. But if you don't, it then places the call to the call center. Now you have a live emergency operator on the phone through your watch with you. If they're asking, are you okay? And you still aren't answering, they're going to listen for ambient sound. And if they still don't hear anyone else there isn't someone there to say everything's okay or not, then they activate EMS. These are emergency call centers. So this is not a regular call center where they then would call 911. This is part of the 911 system. So what they would do is if they don't hear a response, they right there on their screen, they see where they're located by GPS, because they might be out walking the dog. They might be on the golf course, which is why I show those videos. And they can dispatch directly right there, the local EMS closest to that GPS location to get to the wearer.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully that answered your question.
Cheri, how do you go about purchasing this system?
So if you go straight to our website, UnaliWear.com, you will see all of the information there. And when you go to purchase, it will say, how did you hear about us? And that's where you can put the code right here, the CC27 pound. And that was a code set up by Mary for all of the Compass and Clock members to be able to use and to share with family members or your constituents. Joan, in your reverse mortgage business, you may have people that need that extra help at home but don't want to spend money on an hourly person in their space. This might be a great thing for you to recommend, and they could also use this code. So, and those of you with independent living groups, if you would like to have a further conversation about setting up a code specific for your community, I'd be happy to do that.
Cheri, I have a quick question. Do you have a trial period? I have a mother-in-law, exactly. She is independent living, but she's fallen twice. We've given her a walker. Of course, she goes, oh, well, I have the little, pull chain to warn people or if I fall. Well, that's in the bathroom and it's, in the living room. And she fell in the kitchen, so it was one of those things where, but we thought about doing Apple Watches. We've looked at same thing, everything that you said. She either charges it or she leaves it, doesn't go with her outfit, that sort of thing. So we've tried everything. So my question is, I'm very interested in doing this for my mother-in-law. She can't figure out an Apple Watch. There was, it just didn't work. So, but do you have a trial, a 90-day, a 6-month? Are you tied into the contract? I don't want to get into too much detail, but I'm very interested. I definitely will go to your website for this.
Yeah, and I have here on the slide that both plans, the annual and the monthly. No, but it gives me a chance to explain it. It's they both have a 30-day risk-free trial.
I just read.
Yep, nope, that's okay. It's on the website as well. The annual plan being of best value if you purchase it on the annual plan, but decide after within those first 30 days that you don't want the watch. we refund all of the money. If you decide in the 7th or 8th month you don't need it, or the situation has declined and you're now in memory care and unable to utilize it, the unused months from that annual plan will be refunded. So, you know, you don't lose money by going for the annual plan as long as you wear it. And like I said, our numbers show that more than 92% of our wearers have the watch on 24/7, which beats all the numbers of any other wearable in the market. Because it's easy, it's light, and it's dependable.
And then one other quick question, and now I'll stop. Can that be transferred if my mother-in-law, you know, decides not to use it, but she has a friend or I have another relative who wants to be able to try the watch? Can that be transferable to another family member?
The easy answer is it could, but we wouldn't do that, because when you purchase the watch, you are going to enter a lot of information so that if there ever is an emergency, information about you specifically comes up on the dashboard when you're talking to somebody. And that includes a call tree. So we have people who were sitting in a chair and just couldn't get up.
Right.
And so they used the emergency call, not because they needed lights and sirens, but they wanted you to call their neighbor who's on their call list to come over and help them get up out of the chair. They were having a leg cramp, couldn't get up, whatever it might be. Whereas with most other wearables, it's a push button. You push it and lights and sirens show up. Embarrassing, more than what's needed, draining community resources. And it actually makes them use it less because they don't want that when they still do need some level of help. So we would recommend, in the situation you presented, we would recommend that the other family member just set up their own account. And if your mother-in-law wasn't using it anymore, return the watch and cancel the program. Now, keep in mind, you're not really buying the watch. It's almost like a cell phone. You're using the watch as part of the plan, because without the plan, the watch doesn't do anything.
So the one thing I'm going to pipe in and share from my previous conversations to learn more about this product is, let's say you go with the annual plan, then it's a cost savings, I think I figured out, of something like $420. If I were to do this for my father, and it came to a point where Dad no longer needed the device, I would return the watch to UnaliWear. Correct? We don't keep the watch forever, and it goes back to UnaliWear. And I think maybe you refurbish them or whatever the case may be. But when all is said and done, when you don't need the watch anymore, you return it to them, and then there's some type of refund also, or it depends on the length of how long you've had it.
Yep. If any unused months on the annual plan are refunded.
Right. Because
and the one-time setup is obviously just in the first year. So when you renew at the annual date, you're just paying for the service for the year.
Right. Do we have other questions, folks?
Hi, Cheri, I have one last quick question. I noticed on your site, and I did go to your website, by the way, that you currently are not taking insurance, right? Medicare is not covering it at this moment?
Right, and we would gladly take it if they actually paid for it. So at this point, they don't.
Yeah. So in that's something I want to make sure I have all my ducks lined up so that when I talk to my parents next week and I present this to them, that they might take a look at this and say, okay, you know, I think they could both use it, to be quite frank with you. And I think it's really a great program. I love it.
Good. Well, thank you. And I would, you know, if there's anything, I will, I think my phone number is, was out there. Mary has it. I'm going to snap out of the screen here and stop the sharing. And I will go into chat and put my phone number if there's anybody that wants to reach out to me directly. You can always do that. There you go. And I'd be happy to help anyone with any questions they might have offline. I did put in my email. I don't know if it went out there, I'll do that as well again.
I'm going to hit the stop record button.
Okay.
Thank you, Cheri, for this wonderful presentation. Thank you, members, for all your great questions.